everyone, and welcome to my international interview series. I'm Rebecca Adams from RebeccaAdamsBiz.com, and today I am with Laurie Stancil. Hello, Laurie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good, good. Laurie is a life coach. She is a speaker, a minister, an entrepreneur, an international best-selling author. She has a master's degree in organizational leadership. She's also director of practical living and an MS organizational leadership founder. Her website is www.laurie-stancil.com. And I would just like to read a little bit of her chapter from The Unstoppable Woman of Purpose, Anthology Book 1. Finally, my pride was broken. The curtain was pulled back, and I saw the situation for what it was. I saw myself. In that moment of complete brokenness and transparency, I turned the mirror of truth on myself. And that's chapter 17. Very powerful, Laurie. So thank you so much for joining it. So straight away, what is your major purpose in life and how has it changed?
My major purpose, well, first of all, I want to thank you. Thank you, Rebecca, for inviting me to be a part of this awesome opportunity. I love you. I love my UK peeps, so shout out to all my UK friends. But I have to say that my major purpose or mission in life is to help people. To help people become a better version of themselves, or to become the individual that I believe God has created us all to be, because our destiny is locked deep inside of us. And so as we become that better person, and as we pull back the layers of that, then we begin to learn why we're really here and what we're supposed to do. So that really is the broad stance of what my mission is to help people.
Yeah.
And the way it's changed is it's expanded, it's grown. So it's like when I was a child, the way I helped people was very simplistic.
Yeah.
I might buy a birthday card, or I might give someone a hug or a flower. But then as I became older and more refined in my thinking and had gained more experiences and was blessed to be educated with an advanced degree, I was able to then use all of those things to allow it to become even greater and go further. So it's really the same mission, but it's just expanded.
Yeah, that's powerful as well, because as you said, as we grow older, everything kind of unfolds and we're getting more wise, and then it just gets bigger and better, doesn't it? So
exactly. You learn so that you can help other people.
Yeah, definitely. So what or who was the catalyst that pushed you into your business?
Okay, let's see. What or who? Well, I have to say there were several individuals that really pushed me, but one thing I can think of, it's very interesting before I even answer that question, how God will put people in your life for a season and for a reason. And I'm thinking of one individual person. She's a life coach. And we met briefly, and we've never talked since that time. Mm-hmm. But this was before I became a life coach. And I was talking to her, and she said to me, so, what do you do? And so I started naming off all these titles. Well, I do this, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, no. What do you do? And so I had to stop and think. And as I started describing to her what I did, like the actual things that I do, she said to me, you're a life coach. And I was like, I am? And then I was like, yeah, I am a life coach, okay. So that kind of, and I've never talked to her again. But looking back on that situation, I know that was God pushing me to acknowledge what I was doing verbally and to own it, so that he could then take it to the next level. Because he couldn't take me to the next level if I didn't want to even own what he had designed me to do. So that was definitely a catalyst to get me to acknowledge that aspect of my mission of helping people.
Excellent, excellent. I love it as well. I love it how it's expanded from there. So not just saying what you do, like the titles and reeling them off, it's the depth of what you do. So I just think it's so powerful.
It's amazing because even, my walk away from that conversation was, people should be able to look at your life and look at all of the fruit that you've produced. And from that fruit, they should be able to identify who you are.
Yeah.
And so my mother has a saying, she says, God doesn't have a fruit cocktail saint, meaning you're not a little bit of this, a little bit of that. If you say you're an apple tree, I should be able to walk up to the tree and pick a delicious, beautiful red apple. If I see a pear, then guess what? You're a pear tree. So, that was my takeaway from that conversation, is that be congruent and consistent in who you say you are. And if you're not, then you might need to work on a few things.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So how do you persevere after a setback? We've all had setbacks in our life. We're all going to have setbacks, but how do you persevere and keep going through a setback?
Okay, well, setbacks are really interesting because you have to judge them properly.
Okay.
Again, going back to another wonderful woman in my life that reminded me of something that I knew, was that how you judge something is how you will deal with it. Okay. So if you look at setback and you judge it as final, like this is, I screwed up, I messed up, or this horrible thing happened to me and life will never be the same, and look at it in a negative sense, that's how you will respond, and that's how you will begin to live it out. Yeah. But if you judge it differently, if you judge it as something that's temporary, and you keep in your mind's eye that your calling is eternal, then you'll judge it properly and you'll respond appropriately, and you'll be able to take those setbacks and use them as stepping stones. So for me, that's kind of what I try to practice, is trying to keep a higher perspective as I'm going through things, being able to step outside of myself. And that takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of mental discipline. You have to kind of reel your thoughts in, because your thoughts are going everywhere, everywhere. And then you've got other voices saying things to you. So it takes a lot of discipline to step outside of a situation, look at it from outside, hear the voice of God, hear your voice, and then make a decision.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do kind of overthink and react, and instead of responding, and they don't take a step back. I call it the pause effect. Take a step back and just recalibrate everything, and then go from there and see it differently. So
exactly. And there's no written rule that says you have to respond or you have to react right away. Take a day, take 2 days, take however long it takes to process everything. And then, like you said, respond and not react.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So what is a defining moment to you that you've experienced?
A defining moment. Well, for me, a defining moment is when you reach a crossroad and you know intuitively that the next decision that you make will either knit you further together into what you're called to do, or rip you further or rip you apart from that. And so it becomes one of those moments that it's a once in a lifetime thing, and it may not happen again. And I can think of many, but one specifically is when I decided, interesting word, when I accepted that God wanted me to get married to my husband. Okay. And because growing up, I never had this dreamy idea of being a wife, and I'm not knocking anyone that wants that, because that's fine, but that wasn't what I wanted. And I had a plan, and God said, no, my plan for you right now is to be a wife. And so I had to see beyond what I knew and trust what I couldn't see, and know that if God has put this man into my life, it's for a reason. So that was definitely a defining moment, because marrying him set me on a course to where I'm at today, because it took me out of my comfort zone and it made me stretch into something that I never thought I could be.
That's fantastic. I love it. And I like how you know, you brought your marriage into it as well. It's really, it's class. It's excellent.
Exactly. Yeah. And I tell people all the time that, you know, and I just said it Saturday, I went to a wonderful panel discussion and we were just talking about destiny. And I shared that even getting married, you have to make sure that your destinies align, because, you know, there could be a lot of conflict if the spouse wants one thing and you want something else, and now you're trying to make it all work, and he's on chapter 2 and you're on chapter 12, and it, you know, it creates unnecessary conflict. So it is really important. Getting married is a defining moment for many, for everyone, I believe, because then you're altering the course that you're on, in a sense.
Yeah. And I like how you said about, you know, about you get married, because it kind of, to me, it's getting married is kind of marrying everything together.
Yes.
You can't be on one page and then them on the other, like you just said. So you've kind of got to mold together a way, haven't you, and be respectful of one another and everything. So
exactly. So true.
Yeah. How can one achieve the life of their dreams?
Well, the way you do that is you have to have a dream, first and foremost. But you also have to understand that dreams are meant to be flushed out. So it's important to have a dream. It's important to know or have this inkling of what you believe you're supposed to be doing. But you have to take that dream and make it concrete. So you have to take it and you have to make it tangible. You have to put it in your wheelbarrow, so to speak, and pull it along. Otherwise, it's abstract. You have to make it your mission and your vision, and then your mission. And you have to be very consistent in that. And a lot of people don't realize their dreams because they don't get past the dreaming stage. It's good to dream. Never stop dreaming. I truly believe in that, because that's usually where divine inspiration comes from, is that, you know, your ability to tap into the eternal. But if you stop there, then that's all it will ever be, is a dream. And so you have to be consistent about, you know, taking that dream, translating it into something that's tangible, and then going from there and being consistent.
That's true. That's very true. It's all right having a dream, and I find for myself, unless I write it down and give it a goal, give it a deadline, you know, and then go from there, it just does stay a dream, like you've just said. You need to create that consistency in order to achieve it. So
it's something about writing it down. It's something about that. I mean, even in literal dreams, like when you wake up in the morning or whenever you wake up and you've had a dream, you know, it's important to even write it down, because how many times have you said, oh, I'm going to remember that, and then an hour later you're like,
it's gone.
I know I was in a tree, but I don't know what I was doing. I don't know who, you know. So it's important to write these things down, because that's when it becomes concrete and it becomes solidified in your conscious mind, and then you can go from there.
Definitely. I'm laughing because I came up with an idea yesterday. It wasn't a dream, it was just an idea. And I didn't write it down, and I forgot all about it. And I was like, what was that? I remember today it's written down now. So I'm like, I'm not forgetting.
There you go. Nothing like a good old piece of paper and a pen.
I know. I just didn't write it down at that moment. I'm like, no. But
and don't you hate that? Because then you're like, oh, I know it was good. I just don't know what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What would you say to your 18-year-old self?
My 18-year-old self, I would say that you, my dear, are skinny. You're not fat. That you are beautiful, and do it afraid. You know, don't let fear, especially irrational irrational fear rob you of an opportunity to seize a moment, because moments come around in cycles and in seasons. Just like you can't pick fruit all year long. There's a season.
Yeah.
And if you miss that season, you have to wait. And so I would tell my 18-year-old self to do it afraid, and don't worry about being perfect. I think when I was at that age, I thought everything had to be just right. And if it wasn't just right, that meant I couldn't do it, because then, God forbid, people would see that I wasn't perfect. So I would definitely tell my 18-year-old self that you're beautiful, you're not fat, you're loved, and do it afraid.
Now, a question from me: would Laurie at 18 have listened to you?
I think so. I think if I could have done one of those things, like in the movies Back to the Future, where if like my 18-year-old self could see and recognize that we were the same person, I think he would listen.
Okay.
But now if I looked like my mom to my 18-year-old self, no, she would not have listened. No. Who listens to their mother at 18, right?
Exactly.
We learned the hard way.
That's true. Yes. Name 3 things that you carry with you and why.
Well, now that I am 40 something, I now have to carry with me at all times glasses. And so that's one thing. And my keys, I always carry my house keys and my car keys, even if I'm not driving.
Yeah.
I always have them on me. And I also carry my ID, and that's just something that, we were trained to do as kids. Once you have your identification, you always keep it with you.
Yeah.
And so, just looking at it, in a different sense, that, carrying your glasses, or for me, carrying my glasses symbolizes knowing and being clear about where you're going. Yeah. Being able to see and distinguish between details and minute things, and being able to see how things change and what needs to be done. And carrying my car keys is just, for me, knowing how I'm going to get there, knowing the method that I'm going to use, how, I see where I'm going, but how am I going to get there? What is going to be my method? What's going to be the vehicle that's going to bring me to my destination? Yeah. And my ID is very simple, just knowing who I am, knowing whose I am, and never losing sight of that. So when life hits me hard, I can go back to that foundation of who I am and get centered again in that truth, or the revelation of that truth, and then keep going.
Love it. I love it. And I like how you've not just said, oh, glasses, keys, and, your ID. You've actually explained what they signify to you as well, which also puts the power into them as well, doesn't it? So
exactly. It's a small thing sometimes, that speak the loudest to us if we're listening.
Yeah, definitely. So what is the book that you'd recommend that you've read? So what is the book you'd recommend and why?
Well, I would recommend The Hiding Place. It is a book that was written many, many years ago by a woman named Corrie ten Boom. It's based on her life. Her and her family, they were in the country of Holland during World War II. Mm-hmm. And they were Christians, but they took it upon themselves to hide and house Jewish people and families that were hiding, and keeping them safe until they could find another house to go to and ultimately leave the country. Yeah. And it's a powerful book because it is the very definition of love. It is selfless, because Corrie lost everything in this, and she almost lost her life. Mm-hmm. And years later, she died years ago, but years later after she wrote the book, she was an elderly woman in her 70s. Yeah. She talked about forgiveness, and she talked about how she ended up meeting one of her captors, mm-hmm. and how that individual had found Christ and was asking her for forgiveness. And even after writing this book and touring the country, she still struggled with forgiving him. Yeah. But finally, she was able to reconcile the pain, and she was able to forgive him. But it's a powerful book. It's a very meaty book. If you read it, you got to have a lot of time. Yeah. But I tell you, it is a constant source of inspiration for me. I love that book.
And forgiveness is very, you know, it takes a lot to forgive someone, especially in those circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, because it's one thing when someone hurts you and they didn't mean to.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of say, well, they didn't know, they didn't understand. But in her situation, you know, the pain that was inflicted upon her was malicious, and it was with full intent.
Yeah.
So how do you forgive that? How do you reconcile that in your mind? And so the journey that she went through, that process, was very encouraging, inspiring for me, because it made me think, you know what? If she can forgive, I can forgive.
Yeah.
Anyone can forgive.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's even studies that I just read recently where I read somewhere where I saw that if you don't forgive, you actually stayed connected to that person.
Right.
And so you end up doing physical harm, literally physical harm to your own body and your own mind when you refuse to forgive. So forgiveness, even if you forgive for selfish reasons, you should forgive, because it is, our bodies are not designed to hold that sort of pain and hurt.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot of stress as well, isn't it? When you're not forgiving and you live in everything, and it's going over and over and over in your mind. If you don't let it go and don't forgive, then you're just at a place where you're hurting yourself.
Exactly. And you have to also understand that, I think, if you see yourself as someone who has needed forgiveness, then it creates an avenue for compassion in you. So you're more readily to forgive, because you can start remembering, well, you know what, I kind of did this and I did that and I said that, and, you know, I'm glad they forgave me. So let me let me forgive them, or forgive others. You start to see things differently. You start realizing that, you know, forgiveness is something that we all need. And you can't reconcile until you forgive. You can't. There's just no way. And forgiving doesn't mean that you just take a big eraser and erase everything. It's not going to be that easy. No. But what it does mean is that when you have that memory, or when your mind reflects back to whatever happened, the pain of it is gone. That little twinge that you get, you know, when you see that person, when they walk in the room and you want to go hide, that whole flight feeling leaves, because you're at peace.
Yeah, definitely. And it's powerful, and people need to be at the peace stage, don't they? So
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely.
Very much so.
Love it. So what's the best advice you've been given, and by who?
Oh, let's see. Well, the best advice that I have been given has come from my grandmothers, my grandfather, my mom, all of the wonderful people that helped to raise me. One of the things that my grandmother used to say to me is, put time on it. So whenever I would ask her a question like, you know, do you think this is going to happen this way? Or you think she's really who she says she is? Do you think, you know, she would say, I don't know, honey, but put time on it. And in other words, time is a revealer of many things. And so, you know, from that I gathered, don't be in such a rush. Sometimes you just need to let things build kind of organically, so that you get a chance to see people, not to judge them in a negative light, but just to see if that's a good fit for you, or if that's a good venture to do, or if that's something that you should be collaborating with. Just put time on it. Don't be pressured, you know, or let people use manipulative tactics to get you to do things you don't want to do, but just to kind of put time on it and not be in such a rush.
Yeah. I like it. It's very powerful as well, because so many people, like you said, they're always rushing, and now in the social media age, they send a message, they want a message back straight away.
Exactly. You know, and it's interesting that you would say that, because there is a distinction I'd like to make too, because I think if you don't have balance, you can become too slow. So there has to be a balance where, if you know it's right and you've done your homework, then you can move quickly. Yeah. But if it's the beginning of something, then it's okay to take your time. You know, connecting with you, I can move quickly. because I know you and you know me.
Dude.
So, time has been spent. So now we can move.
Yeah.
But if it were a beginning kind of thing, then you would need to take that time to just let things kind of unfold on their own.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I love that. That's very, very, it's just very powerful, the whole thing of all of that, what you've taken on. So it's brilliant. I love that advice. What's your favorite way to unwind and relax? And the reason I ask is that you juggle so many things, and you've got a family as well. So you juggle everything all together. But how do you unwind and relax? What's your favorite way?
Well, believe it or not, and people laugh when I say this, but I swear I'm not a comedian, but I really am an introvert. I really, truly, truly am. My default mode inward. That's my default mode. But when I'm with people, whatever I do, I put my all into it. I put all that I have. And so I get depleted. And so the way for me to kind of re-energize or fill back up is to kind of spend some time in solitude, whether it's a few hours in the morning, whether it's one day a week. I love being able to just shut my mind down. And the best way for me to do that is to kind of go outside and just connect with God's creation. Sometimes if my mind is spinning, I'll binge watch like a show. My daughter and I like Hawaii Five-0. Not the old one, but the newer one, which is amazing, by the way.
I have seen it,
It's a great, great, great show. And so we'll binge watch that. And I find that when I do that, ideas start to come up. It's very interesting that when I take that time to be in solitude, once I get re-energized, my creative juices start to flow again. And then I'm able to go out and give more. So it's interesting how that works for me. But I really am an introvert, people. I really am.
No one's going to believe you.
No, they're not. They never do.
No.
But my husband can tell you.
But I agree with them. When you actually stop everything and you're all at peace, you give yourself time in order for the creativeness, should we say, go in. So that's,
it gives your mind a chance to catch up with everything that you've been putting in. It's like all this data is coming in through your ears, your eyes, your sense of touch. And so when you slow down, then your mind can say, okay, what was that about? Or what should you do about that? And you're able to unpack all these sensory things that you've experienced through the course of a day or a week or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. So the one of the final questions is, what's your hidden talent?
My hidden talent is singing, believe it or not.
Okay.
I don't sing. I do not sing now. Please don't email me. I will not sing, no. But I grew up in a very musical family, very, very musical family. Singers, writers, dancers, very, very talented family. And so part of being in that family, you're kind of around music all the time. And so I sang as a child, in choir and things like that. But that is a hidden talent. But singing is like a muscle. If you don't use that ability, it is diminished, and in some cases even lost. So I can't say that I'm prepared to belt out the national anthem right now, but it is a talent of mine, and I do enjoy great music. I enjoy well-composed music, and I think it's just because of my background.
I love it, because I can't sing, so that's absolutely fantastic. So, but
I appreciate if
anyone wants Laurie to sing, then please email.
Okay, Rebecca, we're gonna have to email. It's going in the wrong direction.
So, Laurie, your website is laurie-stancil.com. When people go to your website, what can they expect to see?
Well, what we do is threefold. You know, part of going back to that initial question about my mission, my mission is to help people. And so the way we do that is in 3 stages. So when you go to our website, you're going to see 3 major ways that a person can be helped. The first most important way, foundationally, is spiritually. And so we connect people to Christ and who he is and how he can change your life and enhance your life and make you and bring out the beauty in you that you never thought you had. And so that creates the foundation of confidence. And then from there, we deal with the life coaching, and I offer services in that way as well, just talking about dealing with how do you go from A to B. Okay, you've been connected spiritually, your purpose is awakened, you're starting to get a glimpse of where you're supposed to go. Now, how do you get there? So from there, we kind of take them through the process of coaching. And like I said, we have packages that kind of meet different needs. And then, of course, none of that would mean anything if you're not healthy. So we talk about the responsibilities of taking your own care, self-care, not only just emotionally, but physically. Like, be your own advocate. Pay attention to your body. Pay attention to those aches, and pay attention to the fact that you always have headaches in the morning, or the fact that, you know, you're constantly fatigued for no reason. Your body's talking to you. Your body's telling you something. Listen. And so we offer products and a regimen that one could do that will kind of create that foundation so that you're physically capable and mentally able to do all those things that you plan to do. So it's a 3-fold thing. You know, if you want to live your best, blessed life, you have to be whole, spirit, soul, and body.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I like how you've put it into compartments. So it's like, you go for that one, but how do you do that one? Well, you need to tap into this. How do you do that? You tap into this. And then obviously you got to listen to your body. So it all kind of folds.
It all interlaps, because your spirit, you know, is illuminating your understanding so that you know what you should do. And then your understanding then commands the body, so the body can act on what you know you should do. So everything is working together, and if one is lacking, it impacts everything else. So, you know, we have to look at the whole picture.
And look after you as one. So
exactly.
Thank you so much, Laurie. This has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much. And thank you for watching. And we'll see you tomorrow on the next video. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.